You hear about it in the news. You see the articles on your Facebook feed. Toddler mauled by family pit bull. While it's true these muscled furballs have a history that is embedded with myths and second-hand stories dripping with violence, it is far more accurate to speak to the loyal, loving animals that they really are. Of course, there are many articles that speak to the ferocity of these beasts, but I think Mark Twain said it best when he said there are three types of lies in this world: lies, damn lies, and statistics. Pit bulls, as we know them, are an example of these lies. The history of violence associated with the breed stems from their history in the UK. With the locking jaws and powerful build, the pit bull is an intimidating example of canine prowess. But the breed as a whole also has a recorded history for being a nanny dog, fiercely protective of his or her family with a love for children and other animals. In fact, many examples exist of a family dog fighting to the death for their children, other family pets, and even strangers. First, I will discuss the history of the breed versus the current breed examples and standards. Second, I will cover breed-specific legislation compared to actual dog bite statistics. And finally, I will tell you who you need to contact to change the way pit bulls are regulated in the United States. According to lovable.org, the pit bull can be traced back as far as the 1800s, when they were used in dog fighting for the entertainment of the lower classes. This practice was outlawed in 1835 when British Parliament enacted the Cruelty to Animals Act. The breed at that time was known as the Old English Bulldog. Once the CAA was enacted by Parliament, the fighting turned into ratting, where dogs were pitted against rats to see which dog could kill the most rats in the timed rounds. It is from this practice that the breed got the name Pit Bull. This is because the rats were placed in pits so they could not escape. Because ratting required the dog to be more agile and speedy, the bulldog was crossed with the smaller terrier breed. These became the first pit bulls. While the breed has an obvious physical advantage in terms of speed and build, they also show an overwhelming capacity for intelligence. For that reason, breeders began breeding the dogs for their ability to learn not to bite humans so that they could be handled and managed by their trainers. Just before the Civil War, the pit bull, along with their immigrant owners, made their way to the United States. The name of the dog changed at that time from Pit Bull Terrier to the American Pit Bull Terrier. What were once fighting dogs quickly adapted to the all-purpose farm dog. These shining examples of the animal became hog-catching, cattle-herding guard dogs who showed an infinite capacity for the love of their humans. Thriving in the working environment which utilized their high energy and strong work ethic, the American Pit Bull Terrier quickly became a favorite as both a working dog and a family companion. On July 6, 1921, in a ceremony honoring veterans of the 102nd Yankee Division, Sergeant Stubby, War Dog and Pit Bull Extraordinaire, was given a gold medal for heroism of the highest caliber and for bravery under fire. Stubby had comforted soldiers on the field amid fire from enemy forces. He would sniff out poison and would bark warnings to his fellow servicemen. He met 3 sitting presidents, and he was, until his death in 1926, the most famous animal in the United States. Since that time, and despite countless cases like Sergeant Stubby throughout their sordid history, popular news media has been hell-bent on accenting cases involving excessive violence in the pit bull's history. According to LifelineAnimal.com, before the early 1980s, when dogfighting made a comeback, only one reported case of possible pit bull violence had been recorded. In that case, the owner of some 26 dogs intentionally sicked his pack on a woman in an effort to kill her. The dogs did not do this on their own. They were not provoked. They were ordered to do so. In the early 1980s, when dogfighting reared its ugly head once again, the pit bull was thrown from the beloved, hard-working family dog back into filthy backyards on thick logging chains, only to be utilized by drug dealers, gangs, and fighting syndicates associated with the two. This image was exacerbated when Michael Vick, NFL superstar, was charged with dogfighting and animal abuse. In that case, many of the dogs, already traumatized by years of poor living conditions and abuse, were euthanized or sent to rehabilitative homes only to be euthanized later. Only a fraction of the dogs Vic abused or killed himself were saved. Now that I've shown you the evolution of the pit bull, I want to talk to you about breed-specific legislation and how it only helps to propagate the myth associated with the pit bull. In his article on avma.org, R. Scott Nolan tells us that the ability to get solid statistics on dog bites can be difficult. This is important because breed-specific legislation relies heavily on statistics and reporting to identify trends and patterns to determine which dogs to prohibit and sanction. With some 90 million dogs owned as pets in the U.S., tracing the lineage can be tough. Most times, BSL is related to larger breed dogs such as Doberman, Rottweiler, German Shepherd, and even the beloved Dalmatian. When you factor in the sensational news published by sites like dogsbite.org, who claim that 65% of the 31 dog bite-related fatalities in 2016 and 392 that spanned from 2005 to 2016, it's easy to see why the general public is swimming in false ideas about this amazing breed of dog. The problem, though, isn't the news media, it's what we perceive. In fact, the term pit bull is commonly used to describe a certain body type of dog. Generally speaking, tracing the dog's lineage is difficult at best, and the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior states that visual recognition is known to be by far the least reliable of ways to identify and trace a dog's lineage. It also does not help either the case for or against pit bulls that the CDC stopped collecting data on dog bite-related fatalities after 1988. So, while we know many people dying from dog bite-related fatalities, the reality is we just don't have solid numbers that the news media is trying to push to make us make these decisions and feed their agenda. It is also worth mentioning that unlike human-on-human violence, there is no centralized database to report, record, and document dog bites. So reports are relayed through any number of people and agencies. This isn't to mention the unreported dog bites associated with family pets that could be anything from a Yorkie to a St. Bernard. AVMA.org goes on to tell us that in July of 1987, Sports Illustrated helped the propagation of breed hate by highlighting a story with the headline featuring an image of a snarling dog. Beware of this dog, the pit bull terrier. This increased over-sensationalism and a stereotyped view of what a pit bull is and how it looks, when in reality, any dog fitting the image of well-muscled, stocky body and boxy head is deemed a pit bull, even though it may be a mixed breed or another breed altogether. In Hollywood, Florida, which was the first city in the nation to enact breed-specific legislation, following an attack on a 7-year-old boy, the law required owners to prove that they were insured for $25,000 in personal liability insurance. In 1982, just 2 years after the legislation was passed, the decision was overturned by the Florida Supreme Court, where the judge cited that there was lack of evidence that pit bull-type dogs were more dangerous than other dogs. Currently, over half of the states in the United States have breed-specific legislation, and they enforce that legislation with anything from fines to jail time to having to put your dog down. In the cases where the dog is put down, sometimes it's euthanasia, sometimes police officers or animal control officers show up at your front door and unceremoniously shoot your dog, claiming fear for their lives, and no evidence is relied upon to support these claims. So essentially, a vindictive neighbor could call and say that your dog, that isn't even a pit bull, attacked them, identify your dog, and they could come up and take your dog or shoot your dog. Gathering actual numbers on breed-specific bite incidents is almost impossible. The CDC simply stopped taking and tracking statistics and reporting it. States don't have centralized reporting systems, and the news media has essentially stated that they use the most outrageous numbers and stories they can find to boost the sensationalism of the story. Current numbers reported in the Huffington Post article, "The Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics Behind Dog Bites" show that mixed breed dogs are in the top 11% of dog bites, followed at 10% by Labrador Retrievers. Huffington Post goes on to cite Heather Pohl of State Farm Insurance as saying decisions on coverage are made on a case-by-case basis for those instances. Pit bulls in particular are often misidentified when a bite incident occurs, so reliable bite statistics related to the dog breed are unreliable and serve no purpose. Think about an industry where you're gambling on risk, telling you that they take it on a case-by-case basis. All of that is to say that while people would love to demonize the breed, the numbers supporting the claim are just not there, and the claim is based on fear or individualized cases where the dog has been exposed to less than stellar living conditions, is trained to attack, or has been mauled by an unattended child one too many times and lashes out in pain or fear. The decision to stand down from breed-specific legislation is backed by the White House under the Obama administration, which says that they felt like it was a bad idea. The CDC, who cites that visual identification is unreliable, the American Veterinary Medical Association, the American Bar Association, the ASPCA, and countless other animal organizations and legal organizations around the country. Now that you have seen how the breed has been demonized in the media with made-up numbers and sensationalized news stories, let me tell you what you can do. End breed-specific legislation. Contact standupforpits.us to help with donations. Contact your state and local government with facts and information to dispel the myths. Report suspected dogfighting activity and adopt. There are millions of loving and beautiful pit bulls that would love to go home with you. Open your mind, heart, and home to a pitty today. Today I've explained to you the ways that the pit bull is misunderstood, how that misunderstanding developed, and some ways that you can help to end this license to take happy, loving, healthy dogs from their families. My own example of an amazing pit bull is here with me today, although she's napping on the couch and refuses to move. Princess Sirius the Black, successor to the throne of awesome. She is the second pit bull I've owned. I hope that hearing what I've said today, combined with seeing this amazing dog and how sweet she is, will change your mind about supporting breed-specific legislation. Thank you.